The children's names were Soma, Guyan, and Yunyo, respectively. They were all abducted from nearby villages and forcibly turned into becoming wolf children. Despite being well over 10 years old, Soma only looked about 7 or 8 years old. His clothes were loose and he didn't even wear shoes, so he looked like a beggar. But his face was strange. It was the so-called smiley face. His eyes were bent like a half-moon, and there was a young smile on his lips. While it is said that it is natural for a child to live with a smile, it was not suitable for a child whose personality was destroyed like Soma. On Soma's neck, 7 wheels were uniquely hung. The iron wheel made a clattering noise whenever Soma moved. Guyan and Yunyo moved behind Soma's back. Guyan's eyes were all black. Originally, his eyes were normal, but after removing the restrictions on his brain because of Hukum, his entire eyes turned black. Yunyo was a blind girl. Her eyes were originally fine, but after receiving treatment from Hukum, she suddenly became blind. Although she suddenly lost her sight and lived in a world of only darkness, Yunyo did not show any emotional fluctuations. The monks of the Xiaolialayan temple looked at the 3 children with puzzled expressions. The moment Hukum's command was issued, the children immediately scattered among the monks. Guyan's black eyes flashed and looked over at the monks, while Yunyo moved with her ears and nose twitching. Soma followed them behind them and murmured something over and over again. Hyalbul looked at the 3 children with an interesting expression. Hukum came before Hyalbul and said, "According to what we have done so far, he must be hiding among us." "I suppose so." Hyalbul shook his head. "Even at this moment, he is watching us using someone else's identity." "So? That's his weakness." "Weakness?" "He has never failed a single mistake, so his confidence is at its peak." "No, I'd say it's arrogance. The pride that he will never get caught." "Keep talking." "That's usually the cause of the defeat of those high above. He must have come here because he thought that he'd never get caught no matter what, but now, all the doors are blocked from the outside, and all the experts of the Xiaolialayan temple are gathered here. Is there an even more perfect trap than this in the world? He truly has nowhere to run now. The scary thing about assassins is that they attack while hiding their identity and presence. But if the identity of the assassin is revealed, they would no longer be a scary being." "Are you saying that those children can expose the identity of the assassin?" "Of the 10 children, only those 3 survived. And each has their senses enhanced." Guyan is a person can see the flow." "Flow?" "He is able to read the flow of qi. The headquarters has a unique flow of qi, and he is able to read it." "So? No matter how much the assassin disguises himself, he will not be able to imitate the flow of energy contained in the headquarters." "That's right." Hyalbul hit his thigh with the palm of his hand. Seeing his response, Hukum continued speaking with a proud smile on his face. "That girl's ability is also great. In exchange for losing her eyesight, her hearing and other senses have developed abnormally, and when a human lies, there are various bodily signs that change. A rapid heartbeat, a rising body temperature, or sweating. She can pick up on those signs." "That's amazing. If you say that, then we can use the guy called Guyan to identify the assassin who has a different flow of qi, while Yunyo is tasked to find out the truth." "That's right. If that's the case, what's the role of that Soma? His murderous intent has been greatly amplified. I don't know what his true abilities are, but as of now, his head is only filled with killing 2 warriors." "Really? What a useless ability." Hyalbul immediately devalued Soma's abilities. Among those who entered the Xiaolialayan temple, there was no one who had a weak intention to kill. If someone is to learn the martial arts of the Xiaolialayan temple, their murder intent automatically increases. Hukum had nothing to rebut Hyalbul's words. Since he, himself, had not yet fully grasped Soma's abilities. The 3 children carefully walked among the monks. Guyan looked at the monks one by one with his black eyes, and Yunyo carefully followed behind him. Soma chuckled as the 7 wheels hung around his neck jingled. Despite Soma's seemingly innocent appearance, none of the monks laughed. Finally, the three had passed over the demon blood monks. At least according to Guyan, no assassin was hiding among them. The demon blood monks breathed a sigh of relief. Hugh. As expected, he is not among us. Even he wouldn't have dared to sneak among us. Hylebel beckoned to the demon blood monks. Then the demon blood monks quickly retreated and guarded the exit in the hall. Now that there are only a few suspects left, they were trying to block off the escape route. He's not here or there. Guyan scanned the rest of the people at high speed. There are now a few monks left. The monks who passed through the eyes of Guyan were watched by the rest with nervous eyes. They were ready to launch an attack at any time. There is no more hole for him to escape. I'll definitely kill him and avenge my colleagues. The monks burned their grudge against the assassin. All this time, the monks had to worry tirelessly about being killed by the assassin. As such, their resentment towards the assassin was so great. That was then. What? What do you mean he isn't here? The monks lamented in unison. Because even the last remaining monks have passed through the eyes of Guyan. The only people left now were Hylebel and Hukum. It was impossible for them to be swapped. The monks looked into Guyan and the other children with disbelief. Is there something wrong with their eyes? Isn't he supposed to be in here? The monks roared. As their agitation grew, Hylebel frowned. He asked Hukum. Is he not inside? No way, he's definitely in here. Are you saying that he's one of us? The voice of Hylebel made it difficult to breathe. The 10 monks looked at each other with an expression of disbelief. After a while, they stared at Hukum. How dare you doubt me now? In the first place, it was wrong to entrust the identification of the assassin to those little children. HMPF. I shouldn't have trusted the words of a loner. Despite their accusations, Hukum did not waver. Dirty old men. Do you think I'll be intimidated by that? Hukum was also at the end of his life anyway, he had nowhere else to retreat. The children should check you too. If he's really not among you, then I'll accept any punishment. Us? Damn it. The 10 monks got angry at the unyielding appearance of Hukum. Bang! Everyone be quiet. Hylebel struck the podium with his hand. The hall became quiet. Hylebel said as he looked at the 10 monks. No one is exempted. All of you should be looked over by those children. I will obey your orders. Yes, Hylebel. The 10 monks became silent at once. No matter how much they disliked Hukum, they could not disobey the order of Hylebel, whose words are like the law in the Zyalealian temple. Guyan finally stood in front of the 10 monks, and everyone in the hall looked at them while holding their breaths. Guyan looked at each of the 10 monks, followed by Yunyo and Soma. Suddenly, Guyan stopped in front of someone. It was Myangak. Myangak was recognized by his disciples as a tyrant because he was one of the 10 monks of Hylebel, and he had an impatient personality and strong martial arts. Guyan titled his head continuously as he looked at Myangak, as if he found something strange. At the same time, Yunyo frowned deeply. At that time, Soma, who had been quietly following the back of the 2 children, came forward. Soma looked at Myangak with his characteristic smile. It's him, right? That's right. What's your name? At that moment, Myangak opened his mouth. It was a calm voice, not the hoarse voice typical of an old man. Tadadak. The 10 monks of Hylebel that were around Myangak hurriedly retreated back. It's him. So he really did disguise himself as one of us? The 10 monks were startled, they raised their power. Not only them, but everyone at the Zyalealian temple, looked at Myangak, or specifically Pyowul with murderous gazes. Although everyone's gazes were focused on him, Pyowul looked at Soma without moving from his spot. Soma. You're Amyang's younger brother. Did you meet my brother? With your father. How are they? They're okay so far. At Pyulwul's answer, Soma's eyes shook. Soma was the real birth brother of Amyang, whom Pyulwul met in the village he had visited before infiltrating the Xiaolialayan temple. Soma was the child who was kidnapped and turned into a monster while Amyang was out. Soma lowered his eyes and muttered. I'm glad I didn't die. Did you come here after being asked by my father and brother for a favor? Are you trying to save me? No. Then? To kill everyone. Everyone? All of the people here? Everyone. At Pyulwul's short answer, Soma frowned. Other children may have forgotten their parents, but for some reason he still remembered them clearly. Maybe it was because the memory when he cut off his father's arm was too strong. That was then. Show your true self, you rat. Hukum pointed his finger and shouted. Pyulwul looked at him with a blank face. For a moment, Hukum flinched without realizing it. Because the fear of the past has resurfaced into his mind. Pyulwul's face changed. From Myingak's old face to his original face. Everyone was astonished when his pale yet beautiful face was revealed. Because they did not expect that the face of the assassin who terrified them would have such a handsome face. But that was only for a moment. They soon came to their senses and rekindled their murderous aura. You dare to commit murder in the Xiaolialayan temple. I will never forgive you. Tear him to death. The inside of the hall was filled with the murderous intent of the hundreds of warriors. No matter how strong the expert is, anyone would feel like their heart would stop if they faced such intense killing intent from many people. However, Pyulwul did not have a change in his expression, despite receiving their killing intent. At that moment, Hyalbul opened his mouth. Kneel down, assassin. Hu hung. His voice echoed through the hall. Many of the monks had a distressed expression on their faces. The formidable internal energy, contained in Hyalbul's voice, had penetrated their eardrums and hit their brains. The voice of Hyalbul contained enough power to subdue the spirit of anyone. Even the 10 monks had no choice but to take a blow from Hyalbul's voice. However, Pyulwul's expression didn't change. He didn't even pay Hyalbul any attention. Pyulwul's reaction made the monks of Xiaolialayan temple even more angry. Kukuku. The energy radiated from the monks caused tremendous tremors in the hall. But Pyulwul's gaze remained fixated on Soma and the other 2 children. Soma asked, Are you crazy? Are you really going to kill them all by yourself? Why can't I? That's absurd. At that time, Yunyo, who had been quiet until now, opened her mouth. It's real. What do you mean? What he's saying is true. He's really confident he can do it. Yunyo's unexpected words left Soma at a loss for words. Soma usually doesn't believe what others say, but if it's coming from Yunyo, even if she says that stones grow on trees, he would probably believe it. Suddenly his expression turned serious. Are you serious? Are you really confident to kill them all? Yes. Soma smiled broadly. Then I'll help you kill them.